An everyday habit as simple as popping last night's dinner into the microwave is actively contributing to a high-risk environment for pancreatic cancer. I am a medical doctor, and today I am addressing a growing silent concern within the scientific community. Over the next few minutes, I will reveal 5 specific foods that, when reheated incorrectly, generate harsh chemical compounds that overburden your pancreas without you ever realizing it. The information you are about to discover will forever change the way you look at your kitchen appliances and your daily routine. We all do this after a long day. We come home exhausted from work, and the absolute easiest option is to heat up yesterday's leftovers. It is practical. We save hard-earned money and we prevent food waste. This appears to be a completely harmless act. I am here to tell you that this repetitive gesture, done day after day, wages a silent war against one of the most forgotten and underappreciated organs in your entire body. I am talking about your pancreas. I want you to picture your pancreas as the tireless blue-collar worker of your internal anatomy. It sits quietly tucked away behind your stomach, resting near your spine. From that hidden location, it works around the clock, producing the precise digestive enzymes needed to break down your meals, alongside the insulin required to control your blood sugar levels. The profound danger lies in the fact that the pancreas does not complain. It does not send out clear, early warning signals when it is under severe distress. By the time a patient feels the symptoms of pancreatic damage, the destruction is usually quite advanced. This precise characteristic is the reason pancreatic cancer remains incredibly difficult to catch in its early treatable stages, leading to one of the lowest survival rates of all major cancers in the United States. Prevention is absolutely crucial, and that prevention starts right on your kitchen counter. This medical concern does not come out of thin air. It stems from our modern, evolving understanding of food chemistry. We now know definitively that heating, cooling, and subsequently reheating certain foods is never a neutral event. It is a volatile chemical process that can transform completely harmless components into literal saboteurs of your cellular health. These processes generate dangerous substances that promote systemic inflammation, oxidative stress, and direct DNA damage. Those 3 factors are the foundational pillars upon which almost all chronic diseases are built, including cancer. I do not share this information to frighten you. In my decades of practicing medicine, I have learned that fear is a poor motivator. My objective is to empower you with solid clinical knowledge. Knowledge provides you with the power to protect your longevity through very simple minor adjustments to your daily routine. We will now demystify exactly what occurs on your dinner plate when you press the start button on your microwave. We will thoroughly analyze the 5 most common culinary culprits that are likely sitting inside your refrigerator right now. Most importantly, I will provide you with highly practical, foolproof solutions to manage your leftovers without putting your internal organs at risk. Please pay close attention to this advice. This is not some far-off theory. This is a biochemical reality occurring in American kitchens from coast to coast every single day. Let us take control of your health right now. The first culprit on our list is not a specific food itself, but rather the medium in which our food is cooked and subsequently reheated. I am referring to cooking oil. Think about a batch of leftover French fries, a piece of fried chicken, or some breaded pork chops from a Sunday dinner. Most people simply place these items in the microwave the next day. Others place them back into a hot skillet to try and revive that satisfying crispy texture. That exact moment is where the biological damage begins. When you heat oil to high temperatures during the initial frying process, it immediately begins to break down and degrade. The true danger is unleashed during the reheating phase, which sets off a toxic chemical cascade. Reheated cooking oils, particularly common household vegetable oils, like sunflower, corn, or soybean oil, undergo profound oxidation. This intense thermal stress generates a poisonous soup of dangerous compounds, primarily toxic aldehydes and free radicals. In the medical field, we have firmly linked these compounds to a drastically increased risk of chronic illness. I want you to imagine free radicals as tiny microscopic bullets spinning completely out of control inside your bloodstream. They ricochet against your healthy cells, damaging cell membranes and corrupting your actual DNA. We must examine exactly how this impacts your pancreas. The damage occurs through two distinct, silent pathways. The first pathway is systemic inflammation. When you consume these degraded oil compounds, your immune system recognizes them as foreign invaders and triggers a massive defense response. If you consume reheated fried foods on a regular basis, your body is essentially operating with a blaring fire alarm that never turns off. Your entire system enters a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation. The pancreas is extraordinarily sensitive to this exact physiological state. A chronically inflamed pancreas is a highly stressed organ, forced to work overtime in a very hostile environment. The second pathway involves direct oxidative stress. The toxins from that reheated oil easily pass into your bloodstream and launch a direct assault on your delicate pancreatic cells. This severely hampers their ability to function properly. It is the biological equivalent of pouring coarse sand directly into the engine of a finely tuned automobile. Bit by bit, the essential gears wear down. A patient might notice subtle, easily dismissed signs like abdominal bloating, intense fatigue following a heavy meal, or a dull, lingering ache in the upper abdomen. Those symptoms could very well be your pancreas crying out for help. My clinical advice for avoiding this risk is quite straightforward. The solution is not to live in fear of cooking oils, but to use them with intelligence. You must absolutely never reuse frying oil. This is the golden rule of kitchen safety. Frying oil must be treated as a single-use item. While throwing it away might feel like a financial waste, protecting your vital organs is vastly more valuable. I highly recommend utilizing alternative cooking methods. Try to fry your meals less frequently. Baking, roasting, steaming, and light sautéing are significantly gentler on your food's molecular structure. If you happen to have leftover fried food, the absolute safest way to reheat it is in a conventional oven or an air fryer without adding a single drop of extra oil. This utilizes dry heat to bring back the crispness without forcing the existing fats through another dangerous cycle of degradation. The best approach of all is to simply eat fresh food. The best fried meal is the one that is freshly prepared. Every single time you choose a fresh meal over reheated, oxidized leftovers, you are giving your pancreas a much-needed opportunity to rest and repair. This brings us to our second food, which might come as a total shock to you because it is universally recognized as a symbol of vibrant health. That food is spinach, along with other leafy greens. The danger here, once again, is not the spinach itself. The danger lies entirely in the specific chemical reactions triggered by reheating it. Leafy greens like spinach, Swiss chard, and celery naturally pull nitrogen from the soil as they grow. This results in high concentrations of natural compounds called nitrates, which are perfectly harmless and even beneficial when consumed fresh. The biological hazard begins when you cook these vegetables and allow them to cool down slowly on the counter, or when you store them in the refrigerator for several days. Certain bacteria, which are completely natural and ubiquitous in our environment, begin to feast on those cooked greens. As they do, they convert those harmless nitrates into nitrites. While nitrites are somewhat problematic on their own, the true danger is severely magnified during the second step. That step is the reheating process. Exposing these nitrites to a second round of high heat causes a chemical reaction that forms new substances known as nitrosamines. I strongly urge you to commit the word nitrosamines to memory. Major health organizations classify nitrosamines as highly probable human carcinogens. Medical studies have firmly linked their presence to a significantly elevated risk of several types of cancer, most notably cancers of the stomach and the esophagus. While the bulk of the research focuses on the gastrointestinal tract, the severe threat to your pancreas cannot be ignored. Nitrosamines are genotoxic. This means they possess the direct capability to penetrate a cell and mutate your DNA. When you swallow these compounds, your liver and your entire digestive system must fight incredibly hard to detoxify your blood. The pancreas is a central, vital player in that digestive defense network. Exposing your pancreas repeatedly to this heavy toxic load creates immense chronic stress and a highly inflammatory, Local environment. As we established earlier, chronic cellular inflammation is a deeply proven risk factor that promotes long-term organ damage and tumor growth. If you eat reheated spinach once, your body will likely handle it without issue. The problem is the repeated exposure, week after week. It is like a steady drop of water falling onto a piece of solid limestone. Eventually, that stone will erode. My prescription as a physician is to deeply respect the unique chemistry of your vegetables. I absolutely want you to continue eating copious amounts of spinach. You simply need to change how you handle the leftovers. The most effective strategy is to practice portion control during meal prep. Make a conscious effort to cook only the exact amount of leafy greens you and your family plan to consume in that single sitting. If you do end up with extra, rapid cooling is your best defense. Do not leave a warm pot of greens sitting on the stove for hours. Transfer the leftover vegetables into a shallow glass container so the heat dissipates immediately. Place that container into your refrigerator within 1 hour of cooking. The absolute safest solution for these specific leftovers is to consume them cold. Cold cooked spinach is actually quite delicious. You can easily fold it into a fresh salad or blend it directly into a morning green smoothie. This allows you to absorb all the fantastic iron and vitamins without risking the dangerous chemical conversion caused by the microwave. If you absolutely must reheat them, do it only one single time. However, my strongest medical recommendation is to entirely eliminate the practice of reheating cooked leafy greens. We now move to the third item, an incredibly common staple found in pantries all across the United States. Rice often appears to be the most benign, simple food imaginable. Yet, leftover rice harbors a distinct biological risk that the vast majority of my patients are completely unaware of. The core issue is not the grain itself, but a very specific stubborn strain of bacteria known as Bacillus cereus. The spores of this bacteria act like microscopic armored tanks. They are commonly present in dry, uncooked rice, and they are astonishingly resistant to the extreme heat of boiling water. The true hazard materializes after the cooking process is finished. If you leave a pot of cooked rice sitting out on the kitchen counter at room temperature for a couple of hours, you create a perfect, humid incubator. Those dormant spores awaken, germinate, and begin multiplying at a terrifying rate. As they multiply, they excrete highly toxic byproducts into the rice. Here is the critical medical fact you must understand. While reheating that rice in the microwave might generate enough heat to kill the live bacteria, one of the primary toxins they leave behind is completely heat resistant. The bacteria may be dead, but their poison remains perfectly intact. When you eat that rice, you are ingesting a potent toxin that causes violent food poisoning. This leads to severe nausea, abdominal cramping, and vomiting. A patient might brush this off as a temporary, unpleasant inconvenience. However, every single bout of food poisoning, no matter how mild it seems, acts as an acute, violent inflammatory event for your entire digestive tract. This intense biological stress ripples through your whole system, directly impacting your pancreas. If you have a long-standing habit of improperly storing and reheating rice, you could be constantly exposing your gastrointestinal tract to low doses of these specific toxins. This creates chronic, low-grade irritation inside your gut lining. Modern medicine now recognizes a powerful, direct connection called the gut-pancreas axis. A chronically inflamed intestinal tract frequently leaks aggressive inflammatory markers directly into the bloodstream, severely affecting neighboring organs. Your pancreas is incredibly vulnerable to this exact type of internal crossfire. My advice for managing this risk is simple and non-negotiable. Safe rice handling requires strict adherence to temperature control. First, serve your meal immediately after cooking. The moment the rice is tender, plate the portions you intend to eat. The remaining rice must be aggressively cooled down. I teach my patients a very helpful and rapid cooling trick. Spread your leftover rice out in a thin layer on a wide baking sheet. This maximizes the surface area and allows the steam to escape rapidly. Do not simply shove a massive, deep container of hot rice into the refrigerator, as the center will stay warm for hours, allowing the bacteria to breed. Once the rice is cool to the touch, which should take less than an hour, transfer it to an airtight container and refrigerate it at a temperature below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I advise everyone to consume leftover rice within 24 hours. Never let it sit in the fridge for a week. When you do reheat it, ensure it reaches a steaming, rigorous temperature of at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit throughout. Crucially, you must never reheat the same batch of rice more than once. The bacterial risk multiplies exponentially with every temperature fluctuation. Let us know in the comments below if you routinely reheat any of the foods we have covered so far, as I love hearing about the habits of my viewers. Our fourth food is a massive staple of American meal preparation and Sunday dinners. Chicken is a fantastic lean source of protein that fuels our muscles and keeps us full. However, when it comes time to reheat it, chicken presents a very clear and present biological danger. The fundamental issue with leftover poultry is entirely bacterial in nature. Raw poultry is notoriously prone to harboring dangerous pathogens like Salmonella and Campylobacter. A thorough, proper cooking process on the grill or in the oven absolutely destroys these threats. The hidden danger emerges during the dreaded reheating phase, specifically due to uneven temperature distribution. The standard kitchen microwave is infamous for this exact flaw. It heats food by exciting water molecules, resulting in scattered hot zones and distinct cold spots within the meat. Those localized cold spots provide the absolute perfect, lukewarm refuge for any resilient bacteria that managed to survive, or any new bacteria that cross-contaminated the food while it sat in your refrigerator. A Salmonella or Campylobacter infection is not merely a bad stomach ache. It is a severe systemic illness that forces your entire body to mount a massive, exhausting immune response. This represents an event of colossal physiological stress for all of your internal organs. Your pancreas inevitably gets dragged directly into the middle of this fierce inflammatory battle. Every single time you consume a piece of chicken that has been reheated unevenly, you are not just gambling with a night of severe gastrointestinal distress. You are actively contributing to the long-term inflammatory burden placed upon your pancreatic tissues. My clinical instructions for the safe handling of poultry are vital for your household. Fast storage is your first line of defense. Exactly as I advised with the rice, you must cool down leftover chicken rapidly. Slice thick breasts into smaller portions to speed up the cooling process, and store them in highly sealed, airtight containers in the refrigerator. Achieving a perfectly uniform temperature during reheating is the ultimate goal. The microwave is truly your worst enemy when trying to warm up large, thick pieces of chicken. If you have absolutely no other choice but to use the microwave, you must slice the chicken into very small, uniform cubes. You must also stop the appliance halfway through the cycle to thoroughly stir the meat, ensuring the heat distributes evenly. I always tell my patients to invest in a quality digital food thermometer. It is the only scientifically accurate way to guarantee your safety. Reheated poultry must reach an internal temperature of exactly 165 degrees Fahrenheit in the absolute thickest part of the meat. Utilizing alternative heating methods is always vastly superior. Placing the chicken in a conventional oven or warming it slowly in a skillet over medium-low heat allows the ambient temperature to penetrate the meat gently and thoroughly. Truthfully, the safest and often the most delicious way to consume leftover chicken is to simply eat it cold. I highly recommend shredding cold chicken breast over a fresh garden salad, mixing it into a chicken salad sandwich, or rolling it into a whole wheat wrap. It is incredibly convenient, highly nutritious, and it entirely eliminates the risks associated with uneven heating. We have arrived at the fifth and final item on our list. This is an absolute staple of the American diet, universally loved in every household. The potato. Whether baked, mashed, or roasted, we consume them in massive quantities. However, the specific way we manage our leftover potatoes can trigger vastly unexpected consequences for our metabolic health. The biological problem here is actually twofold. We are dealing with a severe impact on your blood sugar levels combined with the formation of a highly concerning chemical compound. First, we must discuss a fascinating concept called resistant starch. When you cook a potato thoroughly and then place it in the refrigerator to cool, a significant portion of its internal carbohydrate structure physically transforms into resistant starch. This specific type of starch is an absolute medical marvel. It acts almost like dietary fiber. It actively feeds the beneficial bacteria living in your lower intestine, and it dramatically slows down the rate at which your body absorbs glucose. In fact, consistently consuming cooled, starch-heavy foods has been linked to improved insulin sensitivity and a reduced risk of certain metabolic cancers. The critical error occurs when you place that cold potato into the microwave. Reheating the potato completely destroys a large portion of that incredibly beneficial resistant starch. This leads us directly to the second major issue, which is the glycemic impact. Because the resistant starch has been destroyed, eating a reheated potato causes a massive rapid spike in your blood sugar. I want you to think about which organ is solely responsible for managing that sudden rush of glucose. Your pancreas is forced to work in absolute overdrive, frantically pumping out massive quantities of insulin to clear the sugar from your bloodstream. If your daily diet routinely consists of foods that trigger these violent spikes, you are subjecting your pancreas to relentless, exhausting stress. Over time, this chronic overworking leads directly to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Both of those conditions are fundamentally linked to pancreatic exhaustion, and both are clinically proven major risk factors for developing pancreatic cancer later in life. Finally, we must briefly discuss acrylamide. This is a chemical substance formerly classified as a probable human carcinogen. It naturally forms in starchy foods when they are exposed to very high cooking temperatures, such as deep frying or high heat roasting. Taking leftover potatoes and throwing them back into a frying pan or a deep fryer to reheat them drastically multiplies the levels of acrylamide present in the food. My professional medical advice is to handle your potatoes intelligently. I am certainly not telling you to banish potatoes from your dinner table. I am simply asking you to be strategic, embrace the cold. The absolute healthiest, most beneficial way to consume leftover potatoes is straight out of the refrigerator. A classic American potato salad, made with a healthy olive oil-based dressing, is a brilliant choice because it maximizes your intake of that protective resistant starch. If you absolutely insist on eating them warm, you must reheat them with extreme gentleness. Lightly steaming them on the stove top or using the absolute lowest power setting on your microwave is far superior to blasting them with dry, scorching heat. Under no circumstances should you ever refry a potato that has already been cooked. Refrying leftovers is unequivocally the worst possible choice for your cellular health. If you happen to have leftover mashed potatoes, they actually reheat quite beautifully and safely in a small saucepan over very low heat. Simply stir in a splash of milk or low-sodium chicken broth to slowly restore their creamy texture without subjecting them to dangerous temperature extremes. We must cast aside our fear and embrace the power of knowledge. Today, we have placed 5 incredibly common household foods under a rigorous medical microscope. We have clearly demonstrated how the seemingly innocent act of reheating leftovers can, under the wrong circumstances, transform a healthy meal into a biological hazard. With frying oils and leftover fried foods, the primary danger is severe oxidation that triggers rampant systemic inflammation. When it comes to leafy greens like spinach, the hidden risk lies in natural nitrates aggressively converting into cancer-causing nitrosamines. With your leftover rice, the culprit is the heat-resistant toxin left behind by the resilient bacillus cereus bacteria. When reheating poultry, we face the distinct threat of severe bacterial infection caused by the notoriously uneven heating of the microwave. Finally, with our beloved potatoes, the true danger involves violent blood sugar spikes, the destruction of vital resistant starch, and the formation of dangerous acrylamides. The unifying thread connecting every single one of these culinary mistakes is identical. They all promote chronic inflammation, severe oxidative stress, and long-term cellular damage. These are the exact biological mechanisms that, over years and decades, slowly wear down the defenses of your pancreas and drastically increase your vulnerability to devastating diseases. However, my final message to you today is one of deep empowerment, not anxiety. I am absolutely not instructing you to throw away your Sunday leftovers. I am simply asking you to become a conscious, educated participant in your own health. I am handing you the clinical knowledge required to make significantly smarter decisions in your kitchen. True disease prevention is not a single magical event. It is built upon the sum total of hundreds of tiny, everyday choices you make over a lifetime. Please remember the core guidelines we discussed today. Cook smaller, more manageable portions. Cool your leftovers rapidly and store them below 40 degrees. Actively choose to consume your leftovers cold whenever possible. If you must reheat a meal, do so gently, evenly, and safely. These minor adjustments to your daily habits will yield a monumental protective difference for your longevity. Furthermore, you must never lose sight of the broader medical picture. You can actively protect your pancreas right now by maintaining a healthy body weight, absolutely avoiding tobacco products, strictly limiting your alcohol and refined sugar intake, and dedicating yourself to a diet rich in fresh, vibrant fruits and vegetables. Your health is entirely in your hands. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to care for your body and prioritize your health. Remember, every single small choice you make truly matters. I am Dr. Eugene Hollis, and that's it for today's video. See you as always in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.